So what do they mean with refactor? Refactor is refactoring. That means that if you have software and you want to change it, and you make another change, bug fix, but after a lot of bug fixes, you have to recheck everything, test everything, and that's called refactoring. What do you mean? Sometimes you have to go over the software, all the changes, and maybe rewrite a new version and remove some of the bug fixes. Sometimes you make a bug fix to temporarily solve something, but it has to be solved at a higher place or other places. And with refactoring, you take rethink the whole model and you implement this solution for this bug fix in the model, so you don't need the bug fix anymore. It is now integrated in the whole design of your software. Also, you must not get ruled by bug fixes, because sometimes one bug fix can influence on another bug fix. So that's also why it's so important to refactoring. A lot of management don't like refactoring. They think bug fixing is enough. But for software engineers, we like to bug fix, the refactor every period of a specific time. So it is easier also to test, and also easier if you make a bug fix. You don't have to look at with all the other previous versions of bug fix if it still works. Now you can say to the customer, install the latest version. And with this bug fix, then it will run. Else, you have to say to the customer, use this version with this bug fix, this bug fix, this bug fix, this bug fix, and the bug fix we made for you. And you can also sometimes, if you miss one of the previous bug fixes, your new bug fix will not work. Or sometimes, if you use the bug fix, an old bug fix will not work. So this is very difficult and very complex to do. So refactor is much better, and that's also much better for the bug fixing.
A series of, I think, significant short-term product improvements, but then I think we'll need to rewrite. In order to have a high velocity of improvement, unfortunately, I think it's a rewrite is needed. Like say, look back at old school Apple. When they had their old operating system, and then Jobs came along with OS, OS X. It was a new stack.
So what does he mean? Is sometimes your refactoring and your bug fixing is so big that you have to rewrite from the ground up the whole main application. But also, if you want to change like the database connections, or you want what we said previous, we saw that they use Google and they use AWS, and they use maybe Microsoft for databases, or they use sometimes the databases, sometimes not. So these changes you have to really make. At the end, you have to rewrite the whole software. So you can use a bug fix, or you can put a piece of the software out and replace it with your function you get out, and you write a new function for it, and then test it if everything is working. But at the end, you have to make a big design. So we store everything in a data warehouse with these and these tables, and so we can connect everything to it, and we will use Python instead of Scala in JavaScript. So reduce the languages, reduce the number of storage places, reduce the number of virtual for only the AWS, only with the database, and only in Python. So he has to make it easier. So also he can hire people easier. That's not always the case, because some people can very easily switch to languages, but it is maybe much easier for documentation, don't forget it also, and for testing, to use everything in one language with one database, so make it uniform more. So continue.
It wasn't like let's go around with the old Apple OS. It was like you just took the next OS and adapted that to Apple and said, yeah, your old software just doesn't work anymore, too bad.
But an operating system doesn't run at scale. Like, this is doable, but I think it'd be pretty hard to do with continuity. To roll out this new stack promising no downtime on a clean rewrite seems very, very hard.
Yeah, nonetheless, I think that's what will be needed long term.
I actually have a question about this stack.
Sure.
So you brought up the 20 million lines of Scala before, and you mentioned that the microservices have a lot
very bad
The
connection.
services land. Sorry. You're breaking up. Now. You think microservice yes or microservice no? I'm fine with the microservices. My concern is the infrastructure or the tech stack that you guys are using. Because instead of like using commercial or open source or like any standardized products, you guys have like inbuilt or like in-house your own like implementations of everything. Like sure, you're using Kafka, but your RPC layer is Thrift, which is like developed internally. Your database is Manhattan. Wait. Thrift is a Facebook product. Wait, what? Thrift is a Facebook product. My point is that
we got the TFE, we got the GraphQL, we got the product fixer, we got the ranker, we got the Manhattan database, we got the Strato, we got the TweetPy, we got the Gizmo duck, we got the Twitter Memcache.
And then wait till you find out that all built on top of Sinatra and Finagle, which is entirely custom Twitter open source Scala project. Yeah, I get that. My point is that if you have all of this custom and not like super standardized products, when 80% of your workforce happens to leave, now how much more difficult is it for new people or like even existing people to work with that infrastructure and be able to iterate on it, much less like refactor it.
So this is a nice thing to stop. This question was about in reality that it is, you heard how much applications they use, also not public applications specific used made for Twitter, and they can very big variation. And the problem is of course if people leave and new people come in, then you have to train them on these new applications, and you lose of course a lot of knowledge and the speed of development of the people that leave. So in the next video we will talk about this. We will continue with this. So for the moment we heard a lot about the stack and a little bit in the beginning about the advertisers. So this is end of part 2, and we will continue in part 3.